Verse of the day 16. In Jeremiah chapter 46 verse 27, God speaks words of comfort and assurance to his people, reminding them of his sovereignty and faithfulness. But do not fear, O my servant Jacob, and do not be dismayed, O Israel. For behold, I will save you from afar, and your offspring from the land of their captivity. Jacob shall return, have rest and be at ease. No one shall make him afraid. This verse highlights God's promises of deliverance, restoration, and peace for his covenant people. Jeremiah delivered this message during a time of turmoil for Judah, as they faced Babylonian captivity and the destruction of Jerusalem. In chapter 46, the prophecy primarily addresses Egypt's downfall, but verses 27-28 shift to a message of hope for Israel. God reassures his people that, despite their current suffering and exile, he will restore them, bringing them back to their land and giving them peace. The reference to Jacob signifies the whole nation of Israel, rooted in God's covenant with the patriarchs. Do not fear, O my servant Jacob. God addresses his people personally, calling them his servants and urging them not to live in fear. I will save you from afar, even from distant lands and dire circumstances. God's power and reach are sufficient to deliver his people. Jacob shall return, have rest and be at ease. The promise of physical return symbolizes restoration, while rest and ease signify peace and security under God's care. No one shall make him afraid. God guarantees ultimate safety and freedom from fear, a hallmark of his salvation. This verse encapsulates God's redemptive plan: deliverance from captivity, restoration to his presence, and the establishment of lasting peace. Old Testament references. Deuteronomy chapter 31 verse 8. He will be with you, he will not leave you nor forsake you. Do not fear nor be dismayed. This echoes God's reassurance to his people in Jeremiah chapter 46 verse 27. Isaiah chapter 41 verse 10. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. God's faithfulness and promise of deliverance are central to his relationship with Israel. Amos chapter 9 verse 14. I will bring back the captives of my people Israel. They shall build the waste cities and inhabit them. This reflects God's promise of restoration for his exiled people. New Testament references. Matthew chapter 11 verse 28-29. Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Jesus fulfills the promise of rest and peace for those who trust in him. John chapter 14 verse 27. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. Jesus extends God's promise of peace and freedom from fear to all believers. Romans chapter 8 verse 15. For you did not receive the spirit of bondage again to fear, but you received the spirit of adoption. This reflects the security and peace believers have as children of God. Applications for today. Trust in God's deliverance. Like Israel, believers may face challenges that feel overwhelming, but God's promise to save from afar reminds us that his power knows no limits. Find peace in God's presence. God promises not only deliverance but also rest and security. Draw near to him, and let his peace guard your heart and mind. Reject fear and dismay. God's words, do not fear, are a call to place our trust in him, knowing that he is greater than any circumstance. Anticipate God's restoration. Just as Israel was promised a return from captivity, believers can trust God to restore what has been lost or broken in their lives. Rest in God's sovereign care. The assurance that no one shall make him afraid invites us to live with bold confidence, knowing God's protection surrounds us. Relevance for the modern generation. In a world filled with uncertainty, this verse provides a foundation of hope and peace for those who feel far from God or overwhelmed by challenges. It reminds the modern generation that God's promises extend across time and space, offering restoration and security in him. The call to reject fear resonates deeply in a culture often gripped by anxiety, encouraging believers to trust in God's unchanging faithfulness. Final reflection. Jeremiah chapter 46 verse 27 is a powerful reminder of God's faithfulness. God's promises of deliverance, peace, and restoration remain true for his people today. No matter how distant or challenging your circumstances, trust in the God who saves, restores, and gives lasting peace. God bless you and give you grace after grace.